Okay, yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Forgive me for that, people. I had my microphone on mute. This old man trying to work this technical stuff out here. It's called getting old, huh? Yeah, but I am back welcoming you guys to the Sunday morning call-in show, Answering the Bell with Stormy B Man. Forgive me for that slight mishap there. I was actually muting my mic because I was coughing and I didn't want to cough over the mic. And so I started talking and the mic was still muted. So it's as simple as that. No major glitches here. So welcome everybody to the show for this Sunday, September 26, 2021. And we are back with another show. I know that we had a lot of people who tuned in to the post-fight show last night. I guess it was due to the fact that it was Anthony Joshua fighting in the main card against Alexander Usyk, and people just wanted to hear what was being said. Those numbers that we drew for last night's show were astounding for Stormy B Man's channel, and I want to say thank you to everyone out there that decided to give the show a view, because you didn't have to do that. But when you do that and you show that type of support and fair, I have to say, hey, I give credit where credit is due. But I just hope that for those who had a chance to tune in to our post-fight show, that they went away knowing that when we do what we do here, all you got to do is look back at the preceding post-fight shows and you'll see that Stormy, Reggie, and any guests that I have on the panel to talk and break down the fight that transpired, we do our best to hold the sanctity of the sport. We don't get behind individuals. We get behind the sport and what's good and great for the sport. And the fights that we like to see, the fighters that we would love to see in the fights, hey, that's what it's all about. So we do that, and we come here and we look to, provide you with the utmost when it comes to us breaking down the fights. So again, this call-in show, I'm expecting us to have a few viewers today, hopefully a few more calls, because I want to hear from people. I want to know what you think about the cards that took place yesterday and the cards that are coming up in the near future. And we'll get a chance to talk about all of that. You know what I mean? We'll be here for a minute, and I will open it up a little earlier than I normally do. In about another 10 minutes or so, I'll open it up and we'll have those calls and we'll get down to the business of boxing. Sometimes when you get that chance to talk about the sport, a lot of times people get emotionally attached to fighters. And that's something, just like fighters shouldn't get emotional when they're performing in the ring. You have to use controlled emotion in there and also allow the execution of your game plan come to the forefront. Some people came away from last night's card thinking that other things could be done better. A lot of people didn't even want to acknowledge what was transpiring from the jump. So, listen, there's lessons to be learned on all sides when you talk about a boxing match, man. It's more than just two guys getting in there blending and throwing punches at each other. And people need to learn that that's what it is. They need to learn. I want to say shout out to my man Specific Volume out there in that super chat. Welcome to the show, Specific Volume, man. We be talking about you and the work that you do, particularly your work that you've done with videos and songs for the champ Deontay Wilder, man. And I welcome you to the channel. I hope to get a chance to speak with you because, I told you that I want to do a collaboration with you. But it's good to see you out there this morning on the call-in show. Welcome again. Let's start off with a little bit of a roll call. Early on, we had Chi-Town's finest out there early. He says, blessings and love. Man, I appreciate that, Chi-Town. Man, you're a real trooper. You show support whenever you can. And a lot of times, you showing your support when Stormy ain't even live, man. So I really appreciate you for that, brother. And then also we had 704 Joe out there saying, let's grow the show. Yes, sir. We appreciate that. Jose Diaz as well, an early riser who came out to show some support way before we went live. Land of the 216 is out there as well, says salute still and chat. Underground Asylum channel member is out there saying salute Sensei, salute to you. And Dre Finest is out there saying salute at Stormy. Dwayne Price, the same. Okay, I see we got my man Drew Titan LLC out there as well. We appreciate you, bro. Salute to, let's see, we got JB out there in that Cash App. He says, you was right, OG. Thank you so much for the Cash App donation there. JB, we appreciate you, bro. Listen, man, you know what? It's not so much about being right, believe it or not. It really isn't. It's about knowing the sport. And when I talk about boxing, you know, when I break it down to the X's and O's, I try to cover as much as I can with the knowledge that I have been blessed with when it comes down to boxing. And, you know, again, a lot of times when you approach it in that manner, you can find yourself being on the correct side, but it's more about knowing and understanding the nuances of what can transpire. That's what's most important. It's not about being right. It's about understanding what you're looking at. And at the end of the day, I take more solace in that than anything, even more so than being right, because sometimes you could be right, but you're wrong. And sometimes you could be wrong, but you're right. But at the same time, if you understand what you're talking about and having a true, deep understanding of that, then there may not be any wrong in that at all. You understand? So that's how I want to put that, man. Getting back to the chat, we have, it's moving on us now, right? People are coming in. We got Viva Tavita out there. Salute to you. Kano Loco Sports. Hey, man. Great show you did this morning. You had some great people on there talking the sport and talking about what happened and everything. I was listening. I wasn't able to write in your chat because I was getting myself together, you know, shaving and doing all of that stuff. Trying to make myself look pretty this morning for when I do my close-up. You know what I'm saying? But great show this morning. Boxing and Barbecue is out there, says Stormy. C. Wood is out there. He says, AJ's heart has evaporated every time the wind ain't blowing in his direction. And he says, good morning, Stormy. Good morning. Mark Stearns is out there, says, salute King, Stormy, B-Man, and the family. Salute to you. And Cornelius Weatherford is out there, says, AJ had a nice little run. He's writing them off already. He said it was a nice run. It was nice knowing you, AJ. Get out of here. Oh, man, you guys are something else. Marcus the Villain is out there, says, good morning, family. Dr. the Professor is out there. Good afternoon, Stormy B-Man and the chat family. And Dre Finder says, let's go, Stormy. Make it do what you do. You dig? Yes, sir. Dre Finder says, if you want to continue to breathe, stay far and far away from Wilder. Straight up, you dig? Hey, man, it's something, ain't it? Alvin Davis is out there saying salute. Jared Green is out there, says salute family. Dwayne Jones, Bowley is out there, says he listening. King Vonnie is back, says blessings. And let's see what else we got. Dwayne Jones says these modern day fans never need to question if Ali could have beaten these giants today. And you know this. Tay Brown is out there, the queen. She says, Stormy B-Man, the quiet storm. Good morning, Seafood. Good morning to you, sister. Good morning. And I think I'm kind of caught up on the chat there so far. But hey, man, it was interesting, wasn't it? We're talking about the fight that took place, you know, yesterday, the card. And I know that people are probably want to just get down to it and talk about that. And we will, you know, we will. Because that, you know, at the end of the day, when something like this takes place, it gives people a chance to consider things in a different way. It's like, you know, I didn't see this happening, or I saw this happening, you know, because some people did have Usyk for the upset, and some people just, you know, were blind by AJ's, you know, white robes and pyrotechnics and all of that, the long ring walk and everything. But I considered it like the man going to the gallows. You know what I mean? Because, hey, I knew what was in store for the dude. He might not have known. And even his people, you know, as they were putting that fight together, I don't know if they stressed to him how significant this was going to be for him. But hey, man, you live and you learn. You know what I mean? You live and you learn. So, listen, I think AJ can go back, reconsider some of the things he said about Lennox Lewis, reconsider some of the things that he has considered in his interviews and everything. I've talked about this guy when he, you know, makes these statements, you know, in interviews, and he talks like he try to sound like a philosopher or something like that. I'm like, dude, go sit your butt down somewhere. You're not that cerebral type guy. You're a professional athlete, huh? You get out there, you throw your punches, and you try not to get hit too much and everything, and you fight. That's what you do. But don't try to add philosophy here, because you fail in that area tremendously. I punched holes in that stuff he was talking about before. And again, you know, you can hear a person, especially when they started talk about their grasp and knowledge of things. Sometimes that's just like whistling in the graveyard, you know, whistling in the dark. You don't really believe in what you're saying, but you're trying to convince the other party, yeah, I got a grip, don't I? I know what I'm talking about, huh? Nah, you don't. No, you don't. So that's what I say about that, man. That's what I say. And he thinks he knows better. But the one thing he does know, he don't want to get in there with Deontay Wilder. That dude is afraid. And listen, in boxing, you don't use that word a lot, afraid, okay? Because you have to have a certain amount of heart, loose screws, and everything else to get in the ring and box to begin with, letting somebody hit you upside your head, in your body and everything, and trying to take you out. You're a special individual for doing that. So that word is not thrown around a lot, afraid. But I have never seen a fighter who they put up there at the top of the division be a guy that is like, hey, man, I don't want that guy. You know what I mean? It's like AJ don't want no parts of Deontay Wilder. And when you hear him talk about like the possibilities of fighting different opponents and everything, he don't even say the man's name. Huh? He used to, and people were saying, man, you better keep Wilder's name out your mouth. And he thought about it for a moment and said, you know what, you're right. The champions over there, or he comes up with something, but he don't talk Wilder's name out. And I guess he's trying to do the opposite of when Wilder says, speak it, believe it, and receive it. He don't speak it because he don't want to receive the butt whooping. Yeah, I'm going to talk about him and laugh about him a little bit today, because as I had my show a couple of weeks ago, the Friday Night Chop Session, and I called it, It All Comes Clean in the Wash. Well, you've seen it yesterday for yourself live. It all came clean, and he got washed by Alexander Usyk. Huh? Sure did. So, hey, man, it is what it is. But, yeah, we're going to welcome you guys on. We're going to open the lines on up a little early, you know, and have you call in and talk about what you want to talk about. But I do believe that you guys want to talk about this early on. So I open the door and let's see if some flies come in. And they're going to swarm all over the poo-poo that was AJ yesterday. Yeah, man. He stunk up the joint, didn't he? Like real poo-poo. Uh-huh. But hey, salute to Alexander Usyk, man. Huh? Didn't I tell you guys? I said always go with a winner. Huh? A proven winner. That man has been winning going all the way back to his amateur days. Huh? And he came out and he showed out. I loved his upper body movement and the way he was slipping and sliding early in the fight. And I heard, as I was listening to Conor Loco's show this morning, that someone was talking about him, the movement he had and stuff like that. And maybe AJ needs different types of, a different trainer or something like that. But let me say this about that. I don't know who AJ had for sparring partners. You could have someone sparring from the southpaw position, but there's not a lot of talent out there that could emulate what you were getting out of this man. So when he saw Usyk in that first round, you could tell he knew he was in trouble because of the movement. How do you emulate that movement? That was almost like Customato peekaboo style, but mixed in with a little bit of a European spin on it. And then again, from the southpaw position. I admired that because he did what he had to do early to make sure that AJ couldn't touch him. And some people were talking about AJ was supposed to just pop his punches out there and everything. But there were things happening in the fight, technically wise, that it created a number of problems for AJ right off the bat. One of the things was the right jab and right hook off of AJ's jab that Usyk was throwing. And, pardon my saying so, but didn't you guys think that Usyk, even though he wasn't all the way up on AJ, he was still able to touch him? I think that was AJ being very front foot heavy, huh? And you don't get the idea of him being front foot heavy like a Dillian White or something, but there was still enough weight on his front foot. He couldn't get out of the way of those punches. And that right hook over his jab is what kept him from jabbing as much as he could have. And he was afraid to go to the body because he was still being touched up. So if you drop your hands to go down low, you're getting countered up top. And I talked about Usyk's hand speed, people. I talked about that. When Terrence Crawford knocked out Kell Brook, it was the same right hook over Brooks's jab. Remember, Brook was scoring the jab. He was winning rounds against Bud till he got timed. And remember, experienced fighters, that's what they do. Huh? They time you. They learn. They might lose rounds while they're doing this early in the fight, but they know they got 12 rounds to work with. So fighters like Bud Crawford, and now you can see Alexander Usyk, they make assessments. They learn where your punches are coming from. Okay, and it takes a few rounds for that, because everybody knows what a 1-2 is, but some guys, they like to add a little flavor to what they do. So it takes a few rounds to make an assessment about and gauge where a guy's punches are coming from, how he reacts to certain things that you do. You do it enough where, okay, when I do this, he does that. So, and it's not just you do it for the first time. No, you have to keep working it in. This is why it's a sweet science. And for those that think like AJ should have just bull rushed him and got on top of him, he couldn't do those things because he was getting hit coming in. And let's remember, he's not like Joe Joyce in the chin department, right? So those punches were hurting. And for those who want to talk about, okay, yeah, Usyk came up from cruiserweight. Yes, he did. That don't mean he can't punch like a heavyweight. The man was 221 pounds. Evander Holyfield got the same disrespect coming up from cruiserweight, and people got stretched, huh? Buster Douglas got stretched. Adelson Rodriguez got stretched, huh? Pinklin Thomas and guys like what's his name? The boxing cowboy. Those guys got beaten up really bad, huh? Listen, a man over 200 pounds can hurt you, bro, huh? He don't have to be the one hitter quitter, but if he hit you right, it's good night, huh? And we saw that. We saw that in AJ's performance when those straight lefts and left hooks were coming down the pike. They were very fast. Very fast. Okay, we got the first call of the day. Let's see who this is calling in. Okay, good morning. We got 254 in the building. Who's calling? And welcome to the show this morning.
How you doing, OG? This is Jared 11 Green again.
Hey, man, what's going on with you, Jared? Good morning to you, bro.
Good morning to you, brother. I just wanted to eat my crow, but not in the aspect of not being naive, but just I thought Joshua, the bigger guy, was going to win. But I should have known with Usyk's skill, and you was right. The little guy, the smaller guy won.
Yeah, well, it was more than just the smaller guy winning, and it was more than that. But yeah, but listen.
Remember, you told me the last show that you planted the seed. You want to plant the seed in my mind with the referee and Josh has a problem with smaller guys that know how to fight in the inside.
Right. Right. And did you notice pretty much the referee was not a factor in the fight?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. And do you know why? That was because Usyk was boxing.
I noticed that too. I was looking for it too.
Yeah, Usyk was boxing. He was getting in and out. He was moving side to side. He was doing some tremendous things in there, and he was hitting and not getting hit back by Joshua. So it made it difficult for the referee to impact himself. I do believe had Usyk looked to go inside and get work on the inside, like going to the body and stuff like that, I do believe the ref would have been a factor there, but Usyk never gave him the opportunity. That was brilliant because he forced Joshua into the type of fight that Joshua didn't know he was going to be in. Some people said he had the wrong game plan. No, you have to listen. Listen to this word I'm about to use. You have to be able to make adjustments. Adjustments. Sometimes adjustments have to be made on the fly. Okay? It don't have anything to do with what you were working on in the gym. It doesn't have anything to do with what your trainers drill into you over and over and over again. When you find out that something is not working, you have to have the wherewithal and the courage to change. Mix it up. Do something different so that you can get a new result. AJ, when they talk about him being robotic, that is not something that you should take as you look at him physically in the ring. When you talk about him being robotic, it's the brain. Yeah. Why do you say that, Stormy? I say that because he can only operate within the framework that they programmed him for. That's why he couldn't make adjustments. Sometimes in life, you have to think outside the box to solve or resolve an issue or an equation. Huh? Adaptability. Having the ability to adapt to your circumstance. People who are lit survivors, they understand that. It comes naturally. People who have been kind of brought up and pampered and steered and guided and stuff like that, they don't, because they're looking for their training wheels. They're looking for that support. They're looking for that person that was holding them up or had their hand on their back, so to speak. That's what was missing. No one had answers, because those guys that work with him, they're not polished coaches. They're not complete. As someone said on Conor Loco's show, they've brought him about as far as they could. It's time for some new teaching now. But see, AJ is brazen and bold in what he does, and he thinks that they can get better doing what they're doing. Dude, you're going to be the same old stuff because you have not made any improvements. I said that. If you want to go back to our conversation we had before, I said he had made no improvements in his boxing game since he defeated Prince Charles Martin and won that belt from him. Go ahead, bro.
That's true. And you notice it looked like he was satisfied that the fight was over at the end. And it looked like as if he expected them to give him the fight. But you ain't doing enough, bro. You ain't Hatton. You ain't got the complexion for the protection.
Listen, man. I remarked, not on the air, but when I was watching the fight live and I saw him in the corner after the bell rang for the 12th round to end, if Usyk had thrown a few more punches, he would have gone down. It was funny because it was almost like Usyk didn't want to knock him out. It was like he was convinced that, he had done enough to win, but AJ was begging to go to the canvas. Give me an excuse and I'll go down. Usyk should have complied with him and thrown a few more punches. 4 or 5 more punches under that 10 seconds and AJ goes to the canvas. When he went back to his corner, as a man who had been knocked out already. He had nothing. He was sitting there. He's breathing heavy. He was blinking his eyes. He was like, asking for water and everything. And please give me a massage and make sure some baby oil is mixed in with it. All of that stuff. Okay. He was ready to be done. If they would have said, round 13, AJ would have turned and got out of that ring and walked out of there just like that dude did when he was supposed to fight Effie Ajaba last year or whenever that was, when the bell rang for the first round and the guy got out the ring and left. AJ would have did the same thing.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curtis Harper.
Yeah. But AJ he was done. If a reporter would have walked over and asked AJ right at that moment when he was sitting on his stool at the end of the fight, and they would say, AJ, we know it was a tough one. How about a rematch? AJ would have probably punched the hell out of that person and say, don't you ever come over here asking me, do I want to go through that again? He looked like a man of submission, bro.
Hey, Sensei, you mentioned earlier about adjustments, right?
Yes.
What made me irritated is that Joshua was actually hurting Usyk to the body, and then he went to the head. That slowed Usyk down a little bit.
Right.
But he didn't keep doing it. It's like he was trying to get that one shot again.
Well, you know why?
Like you said, that's where that training, where he needs new trainers come in. He needs to go ahead and come to that brother Ingram from London. He said that on his channel. I was watching him yesterday. He needs to find some American trainers that know how to teach him that, because McCracken and all them ain't cutting it.
Well, let's go back to what you suggested about the body work. Let's go back. So, because there's a reason for that. The reason that AJ got away from the body work is that every time that he was going to make a concerted effort to go to the body on a consistent basis, he was met with those punches up top by Usyk. You see? And the thing is he does not have an educated jab. so he doesn't know how to set up the other punches. You don't just go wading in for the body, because every time, and I said this about Usyk, every time you look to go to the body or something like that, a skilled, proficient fighter knows the counterpunch to throw. So if you're going to go down low with your left, my right hook is coming up top. You understand? If you're going to go down low with an uppercut or a hook to the body with your right, my straight left is coming. You see? So we're talking about a man who's versed. Don't forget this point. Usyk has fought more orthodox fighters than AJ has fought southpaw. So he knows the punches to throw. Yes, AJ scored very solidly with the body punches, and they were effective. But he didn't set anything up. He just went there. But when he went there, he got countered with other stuff. So quite naturally, yes, he gets away from it because he's like, I don't want to throw that again because he hit me with that good one. And people were talking about, a little guy with no power. The man has power. But most fighters.
Oh, he has power. Did you see most fighters knocked out Tony Bello?
Yeah. But what I was going to say is most fighters with his type of skill set, they're not in there to knock you out. They're in there to break you down and defeat you.
Right. And he said that after the fight.
Yeah.
Right.
They're in there to break you down and defeat you. They're not worried about, whether or not can I get the knockout blow in. They're worried about breaking you down. And he busted AJ mentally as early as the first 4 rounds or so. He did. But AJ was fighting physically because he was in shape. Some people I've even heard say, he should go back to 260-something pounds, put the muscle back on. Dude, that's dumb. He shouldn't have never had all that muscle on him anyway. Okay? So the weight wasn't the problem. What was the problem was he is not technically proficient at the top level of the sport. Now, is AJ a top 20, top 15 fighter? Yes. But he is not a world champion on the stage of guys like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and now Alexander Usyk, who's in the heavyweight division. See, and Luis King Kong Ortiz. Those 4 men are the cream of the crop of the heavyweight division. If Usyk got in there with Wilder or Fury, he would cause them problems. They'd probably get to him because they are more versed at using their skill sets. But he can be competitive with them. And also, we saw King Kong Ortiz and what he's done, and is a southpaw as well. So now you know why the AJ camp avoided King Kong Ortiz, because King Kong would not have taken it easy on AJ as Usyk did.
Good point. Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. And I don't know. I just. Everything you're saying, everybody is saying in the chat is correct. AJ does not have no dog in him. He should have tried to get somebody like, even though, like you said, you're not going to find anybody to match Usyk's style. But I would have, if I was the trainer, I would have picked at least Archer Spilker or somebody to train with AJ. As far as, the head, because Archer Spilker does have good upper body, head movement, and movement in general.
Yeah, and you saw what Deontay did to him, right?
Yes. But hey, I would have at least tried, man.
No, it's not the problem. I said that they didn't have sparring partners who could emulate the skill set that Usyk brought, but that's not where his problem is, because there are not going to be a lot of guys who could emulate what Usyk does. You just need southpaws at the end of the day.
At all.
What AJ needed was better coaching and training. And then we're not talking about getting in condition. We're talking about coaching him up with skill set. Someone like Ronnie Shields could do a lot with AJ. okay? But they're too stubborn. They're going to go down drowning in their own mess, huh? And that's deservedly so. Because remember, this is the same young man who was openly, outrightly critical of Lennox Lewis. A far more accomplished
I
person.
just heard about that little beat thing. What's going on with that? That little back and forth they had.
It's just he being a modern guy, smelling himself and thinking that he was on a trajectory of being an accomplished guy himself when he doesn't even realize that everything was like laid before him. Lennox got his out the mud. And you look at the men that Lennox beat to get the recognition that he received. You think that if you put AJ in those same circumstances, he'd be that successful? Absolutely not.
No, not at all.
He won't even face Luis King Kong Ortiz or Deontay Wilder, who are his contemporaries, as Lennox faced Mike Tyson, Holyfield, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison. How many names do I have to run off? And then not only those guys, but the guys who defeated him, he came back and beat them. So it's like,
Oliver McCall.
You see what I'm saying? That's an accomplished.
Yeah.
That's an accomplished man there, someone who you can actually call champion, which is why I refer to AJ and so many of these other guys out here as titleists, not world champions. No, not world champions, a titleist, because you can obtain a title without ever having compete against someone who was world class. Does that make you world class?
No.
Thank you. So why call him a world champion?
No.
Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Yeah, well, if people don't see it, they see it now.
No, they don't see it now. These are the same people who will go blindly into that good night and find themselves going over the side of a cliff, huh? And screaming for God to save them on their way down. That's what that is. But you know what? I've said this, and this is another phrase I'll coin. Just like I say, get to the back of the class, I'll say this. Everybody ain't going to make it. Everybody ain't going to make it. It wasn't destined for everybody to make it. You know why? Because you need to have examples to learn from. Remember that. You don't always have to have failure for yourself to learn how to become victorious. You can actually learn. The lessons are there for you to be able to observe from someone else's experience what to and not to do. Huh? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So, hey, man, thank you for your call. Let's break this one off unless you got one more thing to say, because I want to get more callers in.
No, that's it. I just wanted you we had talked about this last show, and you couldn't wait to call to hear you break this one down. And I just wanted to tell you was right, man. And I was watching all the stuff that you said.
Well, I hope that
that's it.
You enjoyed, what I had to offer today of saying, because again, remember, I'm not one who wants to pat himself on the back and say, yeah, I said, no, I give you all types of depth of hypotheses, but when I come up with what the explanation is at the end of the day, it's always going to be pretty solid. So that's, the way I try to handle that. But AJ, I put that poll in there, and I want to take a quick look before I let you go. I put that poll in there asking, do you think AJ will become a 3-time titleist? Notice I didn't say world champion. A 3-time titleist. And 19% says yes. Those people right there, get to the back of the class. You got a lot of learning to do. You got 81% that says no. And that's where the consensus should be, because he's not willing to get better. In order to get better, you got to make changes. So
listen.
There you go. I just said about that, right? Just a moment ago, about listening through someone else's experience. Deontay Wilder went out and made some changes. Whether people approve of the changes that he made or not, listen, he changed. And there will be evidence of changes the next time he performs. So wait for it. But well, yeah, I appreciate your call, brother.
It was a pleasure calling again. No problem. It's a pleasure. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm going back in the chat.
All right, man. Peace to you, and don't be a stranger, okay?
Never that.
All right. Peace to you, bro. All right. That was my man Jared calling in with the first call of the day. Appreciate that, man. If we can get someone else out there, feel free. Dial it up. We can talk about AJ. What's on the horizon for him? Who knows? Okay, good morning, 518. We got 518 in the building. Who's calling? And welcome to the show. Go ahead, 518. Who's calling? Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Stormy? This is Kieran calling once again.
Who is this?
Kieran, K-Rod.
K-Rod, hey, what's going on, K-Rod? I know you were over there with Kano, so you over here with me now? Okay, let's see. No, it's fun because I was listening to you guys' conversation. Y'all were talking some good stuff. Go ahead with your call,
yeah,
bro.
Man, I'm just happy to just talk boxing with every single one of you guys. So I just want to just stop by and just. I just wanted to talk about the Joshua Usyk situation. I thought Usyk was a bad style matchup for Joshua, and I felt like Joshua, he looked like an amateur out there. Usyk, he was picking him down, and he was just breaking his soul away, where Joshua, he just had no answer for Usyk's jabs, and I would say his reflexive angles to keep Joshua off balance. And Joshua had the opportunity to work Usyk to the body, but I kind of felt like he just got too afraid and confidence being lost, and Usyk just took advantage of that, and he got a good victory. And I kind of felt like he could have stopped Joshua in that fight too.
Yeah, Joshua was very fortunate that Usyk didn't want to go ahead and go for a knockout, because it would have been very ugly. It would have been one of those type of knockouts. Just seeing his reaction after the 12th bell ended and he went to his corner, if Usyk would have put him on the canvas, he would have laid there like a defeated, depleted, quitting fighter. See, Usyk definitely has, I'm going to say something, and I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. Muhammad Ali had a compassion streak in him. He didn't want to outright hurt people. He looked to the ref sometimes to stop fights, or if he had to put a guy on the canvas, he'd do that. But he didn't want to hurt people, because he recognized that those guys have families to return home to and everything. And that's very respectable quality in a sport that is so rugged and vicious at the end of the day. Usyk saw these things in Joshua, and he looked like he was going to do it, and then he kind of let up. That's commendable, because a lot of guys would not have. That's why I said in that under 14 seconds or so to go in the last round, he could have thrown a few more punches that would have made Joshua cave in, but he didn't. He held back. That's commendable. But there's not a lot of guys out there that would have done that. But again, Usyk is head and shoulders above AJ in the talent and skill and boxing department. AJ has been a creation of the media. He's a big guy, muscular guy. I guess maybe some women may want to consider him handsome or something like that, because they've given him chances to model and do TV commercials. That's all marketing. But how much of that has he done that well in the ring? Very little. And see, that's where you see in our society today where they like glitz over guts. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Kardashians could have a TV show that be on and #1 ratings and everything. People like that kind of stuff. It's like, really? I'd rather watch Animal Kingdom. You understand? Even though the Kardashians, that's an animal kingdom within itself. But I'm talking about real animals from the wild and wilderness, huh? Even though some of them on there act like that's where they're from. But I shouldn't use that analogy because it's too similar. But you understand what I'm trying to say. So with that, yes, Usyk talent level and skill level and psychological level are shades above AJ, huh? Shades above. And that compassion part exists as well. Do you see how he, even after the fight, he gave the man belts back and everything? You know, stuff like that. That's class. And he's always going to be all right because he's a proven winner. I talked about this. Proven winners can do those type of things. Ali was a proven winner.
Yeah, and there's no shame in losing, too, because I used to wrestle in high school, and every time when I lost, my coach always told me, never be satisfied with victory, always keep learning, but whenever you lose, be humble in defeat, and always improve to re-satisfy your victories and better lessons.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you something. It's just like AJ leaving the arena and everything, you know. That shows who he is at his core, people. That shows who he is at his core. Had he been victorious, you would have had to push him off of the microphone. Huh? You would have had to say, okay, AJ, that's it. We got enough. And close the cameras and mics down and, you know, let everybody go home. You know, had he been victorious, he would have grabbed the mic, stood in the center of the ring and say, wave to the crowd and sing a song and all of that foolishness. Yeah. There's a reason why that people get humbled. But there's a lesson in being humbled that is for everyone. You, me, if you heard about something that happened to me, if I've heard about something that happened to you and so forth and so on, there's a lesson to be taken from that. Many people don't want to look at life that way, but there's a reason that we live on this earth. There's purpose. And many people don't understand how and where to find their purpose. They don't. Especially when you got everybody kissing your behind, putting you up on pedestals, huh? Trying to tell the world that how great you are, huh? Yeah. Then reality sets in and you find out your feet are on the ground just like everyone else's. It's only your head that's flying amongst the clouds. You still there, K-Rod? What you got, man?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I just wanted to let you say what you had to say. No, I definitely agree. I just felt like AJ, he's not the same fighter anymore. Like, ever since the Andy Ruiz loss, his fighting spirit has been destroyed, and he hasn't made any adjustments ever since then. Like, why is it that back in 2020, AJ was saying that he wanted to go after Tyson Fury for Undisputed, knowing that Fury had to, Abba gave up the trilogy for Wilder, and then that whole entire time he's been waiting around. He just fought once within that year to fight Pulev, and then you just give up 9 extra months of just sitting on the shelf, waiting until, the WBO ordered you to fight Usyk. I kind of felt like at that time, AJ, he should have kept on improving on his game more and actually staying active in the ring, because how he looked like out there in the Usyk fight was way worse compared to the Pulev fight. He just doesn't look like the same fighter that we once knew.
Well, it's not that. It's not that. Let me take you back for a moment and explain that. The reason why you haven't seen him be more active and do more is because AJ, as I have said many times, is one of the most vulnerable titleists of this modern day. Remember, he was supposed to fight Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller popped dirty for PEDs, and so they had to scramble to find a guy to fill in for that Madison Square Garden debut. So they picked Andy Ruiz Jr. They could have picked Luis King Kong Ortiz, but you know King Kong Ortiz has a different threat. He presents a different threat and set of problems. So in picking Andy Ruiz Jr., they figured like, well, he's a shorter guy. You know, he's kind of on the pudgy side and everything. AJ, with his physical prowess and presence, should be able to handle this with no problem. Well, it broke like an egg on their face with that situation. So they had to scramble to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And they devised a plan so when they faced him in a rematch, of course they forced the guy in a rematch in Saudi and everything. But the thing about it, Andy enjoyed the good life after winning the fight and becoming, you know, the first Mexican heavyweight champion. So he got woefully out of shape, wasn't really in condition. His trainer said that he couldn't get him in the gym, you know, because he was out buying stuff and living his life after, you know, the money he made and everything. But all that being said, when AJ fought him in the rematch, he fought like a deer in headlights. He was afraid to engage. At some point in boxing, you have to engage. You have to sit down and say, I want this fight. I want to win these rounds with, you know, assuredness. And he wasn't able to do those things in that fight. He basically stayed away from Andy. And Andy clipped him a couple of times, and that made him move away even faster, which was interesting. So after that, they made it through that. They got the titles back, right? Because that was Hearn and Matchroom's most important thing. They wanted to have the control of the heavyweight division with all of those title belts. They pumped the brakes even harder on his future because he's so vulnerable. So he wasn't going to be fighting certain guys. I stated last night and on my Friday night show, Dillian White has progressed beyond AJ's level now. He's better. He's not a better fighter than they make him out to be. He's not as good as they make him out to be, but he's better than AJ, which is why they haven't rematched. Hearn knows this. AJ is no longer the superior fighter over Dillian White. So he basically has recessed. He hasn't gotten better. And when a guy is in that type of position, now you angle for certain fights where you could get certain paydays, get your optimum with the least amount of risk. And if they got past Pulev, who was stopped in the 8th, 9th round or something, AJ should have had that guy out of there within 4 or 5 rounds. But he didn't want to take any risks, and they didn't want him to take risks. So being so vulnerable like that, he is not going to be a guy that's going to fight a lot. He's going to fight who they want him to fight selectively, but they can't risk just throwing him in with another guy just because he's the heavyweight champion, because he'll lose it that easily. And you saw that yesterday. He was fighting a world-class fighter yesterday. And it would have been the same had he fought Tyson Fury. They just know the payday that would come with a Fury fight, right? That's what they want. They know what will come with the Wilder fight, but they don't want you to see their guy on a Wilder highlight reel, because what Wilder would do to him would definitely make the highlight reels. There are some people that just don't want that. You understand? It's true. So that's what that comes down to. He is such a vulnerable guy You won't see him fighting a lot because they have to find spaces to put him in. You know who would get rid of him too? That guy that White is about to fight. Otto Wallin. He'd tear AJ a new one. He'd tear AJ a new one. You saw what he did to Dominic Brazil. He beat the crap out of Brazil. Some people say Brazil took him light. He wasn't in shape or whatever. He still had to fight the fight. Tyson Fury went war with the guy. Should have been stopped on cuts. Now he's getting ready to fight Dillian White. So when he whoops Dillian White's behind, what are people going to have to say then?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So this is the reality of what we're talking about here. And remember, I'm giving people credit for what they can do and capable of and everything else, but there are some people that they look at things and start making their assessments based on tribalism and all of that. Listen, man. There have been tribes who have won and tribes who have lost. Fortunately, we all still here. And only 2 men are getting in the ring representing in that sense, not the whole community. So listen, sometimes you can get the bear, and then sometimes the bear is going to get you. Ain't going to be can get, is going to get you. Yeah.
So the final question that I would have is, if Usyk does rematch AJ and he does beat him, could we see Wilder and Usyk for undisputed?
That would depend on Usyk's people. I don't think they would be afraid to take on Wilder, but they may want a fight or two before that simply so he can make some money and put himself in a more well-off position in the event that when he faces Wilder, he loses. You know what I'm saying? And that's understandable. But I don't think he would be running from Wilder like AJ has. It's despicable what they've done with AJ when it came down to talking about getting in there with Wilder. It's just utter despicable.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just that that fight itself should have happened a long time ago, and it's just very disrespectful how AJ really just held that fight, beneath him, and here we are, looking at the downfall begin, and I just hope that Usyk can have the confidence and courage to fight Deontay, for a good undisputed match.
Yeah, and for as long as the Hearn and Matchroom representation, promotional group, whatever you want to call them, crooks, if they have a stake in what's happening with those heavyweight titles, don't look for unification anytime soon. It would be interesting to know what the contract is reading for Usyk and Joshua, and if there's going to be a rematch, which there probably will. But then he may also, in the rematch, there might be rhetoric that Matchroom have options on Usyk's future after a second fight. So if that's the case, then they're definitely not going to line him up with the winner of Fury Wilder anytime soon. That's just not how they operate. So something to bear in mind. So,
that will be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Salute to my man Akando Sami Hassan out there. He says, AJ exposed. He can't beat a fighter with good ring generalship and footwork along with fast hands or boxing skills. Don't leave that out, please, because you don't need those other two, and you can still have boxing skills and beat a fighter like AJ. There's an interesting comment by Zenith360 out there. He says, AJ destroyed Undisputed. His corrupt brand held up the division for years to make money because they knew he had flaws. Man, if I was on StreamYard, I would put that comment on the screen, Zenith. No truer words have been spoken about AJ and his backers. Say that again, brother. Say that again. So, you got anything else on that, bro? Or we want to get somebody else in the call if they want to call in?
No, that's about it. Thank you very much, Stormy. I appreciate everything that you do. And shout out to the LBBC and long live Deontay Wilder.
There you go. Appreciate you, bro. And remember, don't be a stranger. Call in again, please.
Alrighty. Thank you.
All right. Peace to you. All right, we had a couple of great calls there so far to start the show off, man. Oh, we got one right back. Okay, we got 313 in the building. Who's calling? And welcome to the show. Okay, we got 313 in the building. Who's calling? And welcome to the show.
Hey, this Copper Aborigines, Stormy B, man. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, brother. How you doing this morning? Good to hear from you again.
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. I was listening to the show.
Yes, sir. Can you turn that down in the background just a little bit? Because I can hear the feedback.
So anyway, I'm going to do better than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, how we doing now?
That's a little better. Yeah, a little better.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the fight yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen some things yesterday. See, the first thing I saw was, not that I saw. One thing I recognized is that Usyk is a softball as I am. So I knew AJ was going to have problems to start with. But the other thing that I noticed about AJ is that he pawed with the jab. He didn't throw a jab. Can you tell me one time he threw a jab in that fight? I'm talking about threw a jab, not stuck his left arm out there. He pawed with that jab all night long, and I'm gonna tell you something. If that did not look like the night that he fought Andy Ruiz, you tell me.
Yeah, it looked quite familiar, didn't it?
When he first got hit. Very, because when he first got hit by that left hook that Usyk hit him with, it just changed everything. The whole dimension of that fight changed. The moment he got hit with that first left hook, I knew it was over with. And anybody who's listening to this, go back and look at that fight again. Turn the sound down and look at Usyk when he hit him with that left hook. You automatically can go to the other fight with Andy Ruiz and look at that when Andy hit him with that left hook and then that right hand behind it. It looked exactly the same. He did everything he could to stay away from Usyk.
Yes,
everything.
Sir.
Even when Usyk was backing up off of him when he got hit, you didn't see AJ charge him. He didn't go after him. Oh no, he didn't want none of that. So you're absolutely right. They have pampered this guy.
I felt like when AJ saw that movement by Usyk in the first round, his confidence went out the window right there. It wasn't about a punch landing or something. It was about like, oh crap, they didn't tell me this kid was like this. You know what I'm saying? It was it was like you ever been, remember back in school, you had a good teacher back in school, you come in, it's Monday morning, they giving you a pop quiz. You're like, man, wait a minute, we didn't even have a chance to start. No, that's the teacher just testing you out to see, if you've been paying attention.
Where your brains is at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have pop quizzes in life They come up, and you have to do what? You have to improvise, make adjustments. I used that earlier in the show when I said make adjustments. It's very imperative that you understand what that means. Like I said, many occasions, Stormy B-Man likes to say it this way. Listen, the lessons that I teach when I work with fighters in the gym and in training and whatnot, I tell them you can apply these principles to your everyday life outside the ring. You understand? Because you have to understand life is a battle, a fight on a day in and day out basis. So why not equip you with how to handle yourself in circumstances that may arise, not even in the ring, but in life. You understand? When you are properly conditioned,
absolutely.
When you are properly conditioned, you can face whatever trials come your way, be it in the ring or out. But the whole point of the matter is to be prepped for it because it's going to come. You understand? So,
you know what, Stormy? You mentioned about how AJ has been brought along in his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a young man, even though I'm a little older than you, there was a young man that was brought along just like that, and nobody speaks of him. Just like that. They were grooming him the same way you see AJ being groomed. But he was being groomed here in America like that. Do you remember who that was?
There have been a few of them. So I would like to know which one that you're talking about specifically.
Big John Tate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember how they were bringing him along?
Mm-hmm.
And they stuck him in there with a fish. They stuck him in there with that fish. Big John Tate was winning that whole fight for 15 straight rounds. You remember that?
Yep. And got knocked out in the last 20 seconds.
Thank you. And you ain't heard of John Tate since. Let's be real about this.
Yep.
See, John Tate was being groomed to take over the heavyweight division the same way that you see AJ being. I saw it. I was like, wait a minute, where did I ever see this in life? And it brought me to John Tate. I said, oh, shoot. Nobody was brought along like John Tate in the heavyweight division. Nobody. I said, they were sneaking him through the whole heavyweight division right up into that championship. And they put him in there with the wrong guy. And when they put him in there with Mike Weaver, who was just like, none of y'all probably know about Mike Weaver. Mike Weaver was like what you see in Deontay Wilder. See, people talk about Deontay Wilder's knockout power. Y'all need to go look at Mike Weaver. But he was doing the same thing.
Yes,
he was putting them boys to sleep.
Yep.
And the only one that they could get to put on, the only one that they could get to get rid of Mike Weaver, if you remember, they had to put Larry Holmes on him.
Yep.
And he liked to kill Larry Holmes up in there that night.
They were hoping that he would get to Holmes like he got to Tate. But the difference was...
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, the difference was that nobody knew the resolve that Larry Holmes had under the hood. They didn't know that part. They only looked at his boxing ability and say, well, he got nothing but a jab. Well, having the jab that Holmes had could keep you at the top of the division for 7.5 years.
Say it again. See, they don't know. And where did Larry Holmes learn to use that jab at? Who taught him how to perfect that jab?
Ali.
Doggone right.
And he took it and made it a better jab than Ali had.
Listen, I don't know. Hold on. Now, I ain't going to say that because a lot of people never really watched Ali and his jab.
I'll say now, you know why?
I'm going to say you correct. I'm going to say you correct on that part because I know some things that a lot of people don't know about this guy. See, when Ali was young, you remember he was Cassius Clay.
Right.
This guy had a jab that was so fast and so crisp and so hard that those guys was claiming back then that Cassius Clay, his jab felt like a punch. And it never dawned on me listening to it when I was younger that jab that he threw out there was actually a punch. I didn't know that was a punch. I took it as a jab. No, he was punching them. And remember, he displayed it again. I had never seen him display that kind of punch again until that night at Madison Square Garden against Joe Frazier. You remember that?
Yeah, and do you remember what Joe Frazier looked like after that fight and why he had to go to the hospital for almost a month?
I knew you was going to say that. Yeah, and so did George Foreman. Remember in Zaire, Ali was cracking him with that same jab. Yep. And I was thinking, I said, you know what? I said, Stormy B, right. Now, I'll go along with Muhammad Ali being a compassionate man. He was. Y'all might not know this about him, but he really was. He just wanted to make it through the fight, but he was the greatest then, just like he in him passing, he's still the greatest. None of these fighters y'all looking at could ever deal with this guy, regardless of what any of them say. There's not one out there that could ever have dealt with Muhammad Ali at all.
Right.
At all. Y'all just don't know. Even in the years that we've seen him, that the younger fighters were starting to get at him, he was still getting at them. He was wiping them out, and he was sick. Now imagine if he was older and healthier. He would have beat them guys up. This what Stormy is telling you about AJ is fact. Fact. But I'm going to tell you something, Stormy. This was set up, and you knew it was set up. You knew it was set up the night that they set Deontay Wilder up to lose that title. I seen it. I had been watching this the whole time. I said, I'm just waiting on them to get him in the position to where they could take that title. And I'm going to put it out there. Anybody can dispute me if you want to. Let me show it to you, and then I'm going to get off of here. They made sure to get rid of Deontay Wilder. So they thought. So Tyson Fury gets this title. Put Tyson Fury in the ring with AJ yesterday with that title. What happens?
Yeah, Fury would have become undisputed champion.
This is what they're working on. This here is what they're working on. See, people don't realize, and if you look at it today, I'm gonna say it out here right now. You got two white champions right now. Now what? Y'all don't see it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
But they ain't gonna put Usyk up in there with Tyson Fury. Now most people say, well, Tyson Fury would beat Usyk. No, the hell he wouldn't. Usyk would beat the brakes off him. See, one thing about Usyk, he don't back up. He comes straight forward. Now you got to figure out what style to use to beat him. Plus, he's a southpaw. What are you going to use? Because Tyson Fury ain't got the style to beat this guy. He might outpoint him a few rounds here and there, but when Usyk gets started and he start going in on him, he's going to the body. What's going to happen, Stormy? After 3 rounds of that body getting hit on, what's going to happen to him, Stormy?
It's called breaking them down.
Thank you. He's going to get knocked out. That's what's going to happen to him. You know I call you Coach Stormy B. Everybody else just say Stormy B. I know you as Coach Stormy B. So you already know with a shorter fighter what you're going to tell him in that corner by the time that 3rd round roll up in there. Okay, go get him. Go to the body. Throw the jab straight to the solar plex. Stay there. Don't come up top. Don't come up breathing. Stay down there. Swim underwater. Stick there. 4th round, 5th, 6th. By the 7th round, he ready to go.
Yeah.
Usyk is a thick man. I don't know if y'all looking at this guy's body, but whatever exercises he's doing, his exercise is to strengthen the abdominal section. This is where your conditioning is at. He knows this. You look at the rest of them's body, they're not like this. Look at Deontay's ears is like this. But they're not gonna put that guy up in there with Deontay. Are you crazy? He tailor-made for Deontay because Deontay's not a boxer. He's a fighter. Difference in styles. You don't throw southpaws up in there with fighters. How do I know? George Foreman and Joe Frazier. You don't throw them up in there with them kind of guys because them kind of guys are killing. because they are going to use both hands.
George Foreman
Left
and Michael
right.
Moore.
Yes. Well, Michael Moore for real, because he's built for that. He's a southpaw, plus he's built for that. He's built for that. Look at Michael Moore, if you remember what his body looked like. Take Usyk's head off him and put Michael Moore's head on him. Is that not the same thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Punchers are tailor-made for southpaws. You have nothing out there that can deal with a southpaw but a puncher. That's it.
See, a fighter with a technical functionality like what Malik Scott has been helping to remind Deontay of, Usyk would be tailor-made for that.
Stormy.
Usyk would be tailor-made for that, because what he would do was he would move him into the punches that he wants to be most effective. Now, I had a conversation with Malik Scott just a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him the question that I had been always saying on my own accord. I said, I feel that Deontay is equally a powerful puncher with the left as he is with the right, simply because he's just one of those genetically Southern strong men. I said, can you verify that for me? And Malik said, without question, you're absolutely right. He said, which is why, like, when you see them working, they're working on those lefts, right? And it's like, when you think about you getting a fight, if you're waiting on that man's right hand because you know that that's his power punch, but you had no idea that he can punch the same with the left, the left is usually going to be the one to get you up out of there. Okay?
Well, Stormy, you're right. And see, the news media, sports news media, for years have been saying, oh, yeah, Deontay's right, his right hand. But I turn the sound down on the television and I look. If you go back and look at Deontay Wilder, and see, I never had an opportunity to talk to the brother or anything, because I'd have told him, I would say, man, let me ask a question. Why you knock people out with the left and they standing there froze, and then you come over the top with that right hand, and they thinking you knocking them out with that right hand when they already out on their feet with that left hook? Why are you so deceptive? Because they not paying attention to his left hook. And most of the viewers right now that's on this show, they never thought about Deontay's left. If you only look, this guy hits you with that left hook. You done. You are froze. He freezes you with that darn thing. And you actually out on your feet. And he's only one of a few fighters I can say that I've seen throw that left hook with such viciousness without it even looking like viciousness, and you out on your feet. Because if he just stepped back off of you after he throw that left hook, you'll watch him stumble. You'll watch that guy stumble like I don't know what. He's really done. He's finished. I watched it. I watched them say, oh, he doesn't have a jab. He doesn't do bull crap. Go back and look at the first Stefan fight, right?
Yeah.
Did not Deontay throw 43 jabs, 3 left hooks, and 7 right hands in that fight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that myth of him not having a jab, that's bull crap. He doesn't have to use it. But if he uses it, he'll beat you up. This is the thing that I noticed about him. He really ain't trying to beat you up. He's a compassionate big man, too. 6'7", and he's very compassionate. He's a very loving man.
Until the October 9th.
To use that. Well, like I said, if you put him in the position to have to use that jab, you're going to wish you hadn't, because it's not slow.
Listen.
It's a punch.
Listen.
Not a jab.
No. Listen, I want you to understand something. What you were just about to say about him, that used to be true. That is no longer the case.
I know.
That's no longer the case. No. Listen,
I know
because
that.
you have to speak.
Turn him into a killer.
Hold on, Copper. Let me finish my remark here. You have to allow for what the man's words say that he's representing of himself. He said that guy is no longer. So, the man that we see on October 9th is going to be the new truth.
Mm-hmm.
And woe, and I've said this many times, woe to whomever is the first opponent, whether it be Fury, Dillian White, whoever they would want to put in there with him. Woe to that man.
Yes, I agree.
Because they're going to be facing a new creature.
Listen, I know I make a lot of jokes on the posts when we out there. Y'all know I do. And I told y'all, I said, look, y'all done turned this man into a killer, a straight up killer. He don't like that. He don't. What I'm looking at on them videos, that's just a snippet of what's going to be in that fight. We just getting a snippet of what he's going to do. And I make the joke. I said, look, Stormybman, Drew, Tay, T, and there's some more of y'all out there. I said, look, they already got a warrant out for y'all. So if you show up at that fight, if you want to, if he breaks Tyson Fury off like that, they're going to arrest all y'all for attempt murder. Because y'all turned this guy into this, and they were not looking for this. They're going to have him arrested too. All y'all going to the pokey.
Listen,
if
a man don't stand for anything, he'll bound to fall for anything. Okay?
For everything.
So let's just say it like this. We'll die with our boots on.
Ain't that we're going to die standing up.
There you go.
But I really do feel some sort of compassion for Tyson Fury right now.
I don't feel it, damn. No, Carper, I'm about to end this call. You know what? No. Don't you come in here. Don't you listen. This is my show.
You gotta let me finish my joke.
Don't you come in here talking like that, or I'm gonna put you out. You understand?
Listen,
did you hear what I said, brother?
I heard you.
Okay.
You gonna let me finish my joke?
Oh, are you joking? You gotta clarify that before. You say, hey, let me make this joke real quick. Because otherwise you get the hook.
You know darn well how I feel about Tyson Fury. Never mind, I ain't gonna say it over the line. That's why I said let me tell my joke.
Hey, listen, I don't want there to be no misconceptions here. It's Bomb Squad all day over here. Okay? Bomb Squad.
I got it. I said what I wanted to say was I feel bad for Tyson Fury just like I felt bad for Adolf Hitler when they went to bomb in his behind and he didn't know how to deal with that. Because that's what he's going to get. He's getting the same thing. He's going to get just what Max Schmeling got right there in New York at Madison Square Garden. He's going to get the same thing.
There you go. Now you're talking some sweet stuff right there. Let me give me some ketchup to go on top of it. Yeah, go ahead.
So all I can tell all y'all, make sure when you're at the fight, don't put on nothing but black. Because you're going to a funeral. This is not no party. You're going to a funeral. This is what you're going to be looking at. So dress the part. Dress in all black.
There you go. And make sure there's a pine box ringside.
Nope. Make sure it's a cement box. A cement box ringside with about 20 brothers to be able to pick that thing up and carry his behind out and put him in the river, not in the dirt. We're gonna throw him off in the Grand Canyon somewhere. Let him find that.
No, he don't even deserve the Grand Canyon. Just put him in the alley with the rest of the trash.
Oh, well, that too. Dang. Yeah, put him in the trash. You're right. Right out back so the garbage man pick him up and take him home. Yeah, man. Hey, look, I had to joke about this stuff because I'm really angry. Oh, I had to learn to channel this.
Listen, exactly. Which is why, I curb a lot of what I could say. You know what I mean? I have to be responsible because I'm out here on the airwaves. But we know what we feel.
I got to be responsible because I got to be responsible because sometimes I got these children around me, not mine, but they're around me.
Right.
So I got to be able to say, joke around with certain things. And with Tyson Fury, I can joke all day because I done heard all of his lies, all of his BS, all his cover-ups, all his running.
Hasn't it been like utterly ridiculous that this man has allowed to be this way for basically his career, and they don't acknowledge it? Old media does not. They're not going to take. Dude, they don't say even the least of what he may have done and be guilty of. And we're not talking about Wilder. We're talking about years before he even met Wilder in the ring. This is like amazing that it's just like, it reminds me of Kovalev. How you remember his assaulting those women and beating up the one woman's dog and waiting for her outside her home and stuff. They didn't even cover that.
That craziness.
They didn't even talk about craziness. The woman he assaulted on the airplane. None of that stuff. BoxRec.
When Kovalev did all of that stuff.
Listen. BoxRec put Shakur Stevenson's police mugshot on their website when he got into that altercation in the streets or whatever. They took his police snapped mugshot and put it on his BoxRec file. Sergey Kovalev, we have yet to see a mugshot or anything of him because he was arrested.
You're not going to see that.
Right, but I'm just saying this right here is the blatant type of bias and prejudice that we speak of, and it's not a fallacy. It's not something being made up. This is valid. Sergey Kovalev was wearing T-shirts that had gorillas on them and everything when he was talking about Adonis Stevenson, okay, and Andre Ward, huh? It's like, dude, all of these things. This is real. This is real.
Yeah, it's real. You seen what? I hate to say it because a lot of people don't know about it. You remember they did Floyd like that too when they so-called arrested him for that domestic violence when it really wasn't no domestic violence because they never showed no pictures of that one beat up or anything. See, this has always been a setup ever since those two clowns. And I've been saying this for years. Ever since those two clowns from HBO After Dark, and I'm gonna call it like I see it. Two clowns.
Yes, sir.
The nonsense that they used to say on HBO After Dark. I was listening to that, and I guess I might have been about maybe 30 then. Mm-hmm. And I used to say to myself, I used to say it to myself, watching, I said, man, where is this coming from? What is this about? So I kept looking at it and I said, oh, this is what this is about. I said, I don't think these people even see it. Might be a few of us in the country that's paying attention to this. This is where they're talking about where they don't want us in the boxing ring no more. They don't want us fighting. They don't want us in the boxing ring no more. And people don't believe it when I tell you they're trying to get rid of black boxers. They are trying to get rid of them. They don't want them. Yeah. They when I forget the first one. I forget his name. The first one that they brought on the scene. The first one from across seas that they put on Boxing After Dark. I could be wrong, but you can correct me because I don't keep up with it like I used to, like that. It was a guy from Israel, and his name was Abraham. And they brought him over here for an elimination. And they had what they call a middleweight elimination bout tournament. And they brought this guy. He walked through everybody. When I tell you he walked through everybody, he walked through everybody. One guy he couldn't walk through. Didn't stand a chance with him. He couldn't walk through Andre Ward. Andre beat him up. Mm-hmm. What's his full name? Abraham. He was from Israel.
I think I know.
He had a real low haircut. This guy hit like a like a German Tiger tank. I kid you not. When I watched him, I said, God dang, what in the world has he got that he's picking these guys up with? I said, this don't look like a white Mugabe. I don't know what to say.
Well, you know,
This guy was good.
They are masters of the secret gloves and hand wraps too. You know, it's like a lot of times when you think a fighter really is punching hard and this and that, and it's not. It's like they're manipulating their hand wraps and manipulating their gloves. Do you know when they started allowing fighters to have the designer glove companies, you know, participate in these fights? Because, you know, that goes back to the early 2000s, late 90s, where, you know, you either were wearing Everlast or Reyes or Grant gloves. Remember? That was like the three brands. But then they started seeping these
top brand was Everlast.
Yeah, they started seeping these other brands in and designer brands and start allowing the fighters to fight with gloves with different colors. Because remember, the color was red.
Absolutely, it sure was.
And start allowing these guys to get in there and start wearing, you know, something that would match their attire and all of that. That's when they opened up this avenue for certain things. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a couple of other fighters that I feel like were fighting with loaded gloves. I don't have any evidence of it. It's just that I saw the damage that they were able to inflict on a couple of opponents. And you take a guy like Triple G earlier in his career, when he first came over here, I was thinking about him because he definitely wore a designer set of gloves. They even did when HBO was still around, they even did a segment. You know, HBO used to like to do those pre-fight segments where they cover the fighter of the night or whatever. They were talking about Triple G having designer gloves made. One of the first things that entered my mind when they said that is like, okay, what if these designer gloves are designed where the horsehair in them or whatever is manipulated, or the padding is manipulated in a way that he can get his full knuckle in there and hurt an opponent? You know, nobody's going to question that it being a designer glove, but when you see them at the press conference when they pick their gloves, yeah, if you don't know what you're looking for, it could come across as okay. You know, 8-ounce glove, 12-ounce glove. It might make the weight in ounces, but it's not properly distributed where it needs to be over the knuckles and things like that. You know, and then for another secret, that there are guys who've been able to manipulate hand wraps by sticking their wrapped hands in ice water. Okay? Because the tape and the gauze and everything, it becomes hardened like a cast. Only within a certain amount of time. So if you got a guy gloved up in the ring, but his hands was wrapped as early as 45 to 50 minutes before he entered the ring, he could be literally entering the ring with a cast in his glove that by the fourth round of a fight, he's hitting you with stuff and you're like, damn, that punch was hard. Yeah. Think about it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Stormy, you 100% correct. Because there's those of us on this call that have either ourselves or our children. They done either sprained something or they broken a hand or arm or a finger. And if you watch how they wrapped it as a parent, and you sit there and watch how they wrap that arm up, and that arm turns into a cast, then you know exactly what Stormy is talking about, because that's exactly what they do. They put that stuff on and then put their hands in that water in about 45 minutes. That's a cast. Then they slide that glove over it.
I want to take a quick moment and acknowledge Hoyas out there who just subscribed to the channel, and Leandre M out there who just subscribed to the channel. Welcome, brothers, to the channel, and we hope you're enjoying the content here on Stormybman Station. Sorry about that, Copper. Just wanted to acknowledge their subscribing to the channel real quick. Go ahead.
Hey, welcome to the channel, gentlemen. Anyway, Just like that video, that little small clip of a video. If people look at the glove, you see that ain't nothing wrong with them gloves. Nothing. You don't see no dents in them. You don't see nothing.
Right.
Those are gloves. Now, you can take them gloves and manipulate them by putting your hands in that gauze, and that glove is going to look like that. But when you get hit with it, it's going to feel like a brick.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely.
I lost my eye like that. I lost my eye to a guy who did that, Stormy. That's why I was telling you a few months ago when Earl had to go in for that surgery.
Yes.
Remember that eye surgery?
Yes.
And I told you, I said, you know what? Earl been tricking the ophthalmologist. I said, I know he has, because I used to do it too. But where you'll get caught at is like when you're in a fight and you're getting hit with right hands that you normally don't get hit with. Somebody's paying attention to that.
Right.
And Earl got caught. That's what Earl got caught. Somebody finally hit him and said, look, I'm going to show you something, and you either come clean or you don't, but it's up to you. So they showed him earlier clips of himself. He's never been getting hit with right hands. But then, before the accident, people not paying attention. They saying the accident. No, this started happening before the accident. He started getting caught with right hands. And when you're getting caught with right hands, and you're supposed to be able to see them coming out of your peripheral. If you
know who was hitting them with right hands?
Know.
Copper, you know who was hitting him with right hands and nobody said anything because it wasn't really effective on him, but he was getting hit clean? Mikey Garcia.
Yep, exactly. Now, I'm going to tell you why I thought I seen it, but I know he should have been getting hit with right hands regardless, because he was in that damn phone booth with him. Cal Brooks was hitting him with that right hand, but they were close. They was in the phone booth.
Right.
But when Mikey Garcia was hitting him, they was away from each other.
Right.
And I said, wait a minute, how come he don't see this?
Yeah.
What's going on with this?
I noticed
with this guy?
that. I just never really spoke on it.
I did. It wasn't, just in general conversation with people that you're in a crowd and you're talking with brothers and sisters about this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And I said, this guy is in such good condition that he's not, right now he's young. But I said, somebody's going to catch him one day, whether it's a fighter or a trainer, his mother or his father, and they're going to question this. And Earl has been reluctant to even talk about it. So he'll lie. And that's what he was doing. He was lying.
Well, look here, Copper.
I'm glad they caught him.
Man, you made some great points.
I'll see you tonight,
I want to bring some more people in before we close the show out. But you got to come back because you have some great stuff to offer, man. You know what I mean? So
thank you.
We'll get you back in here, man.
Hey, look, I'll come on after the 9th. Because, see, I'll clown. I ain't going to do nothing but clown on Tyson Fury. That's all I do. I clown on him. Your boy, what's his name? When they put that little plastic statue up for him a couple of weeks ago. Valdez.
Valpeds, yeah. Valpeds. That's his new name.
Yeah, man. I was driving. I was back just before I leave. I had to make a delivery out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped through, man. I seen that statue sitting out there, and I was like, "What the? Oh no, they really are putting."
Yes, sir.
So I got out. I'm curious, So I get out, and I touched the statue. I said, "Oh no, they didn't."
Yeah, they did.
They got a plastic statue out here for this guy.
Yeah, they did.
Oh man.
Yeah, they did.
I said, "This is sick." I said, the brothers on the call. They ain't lying about this cat. I got back in the truck, man, and drove off, man. I said,
Dude, we got receipts, man. We don't have to lie on here. We just bring the truth, man. We just bring the truth. That's it.
Hey, when I thought it was plastic, that's what got me. It's plastic, not bronze, not made out of concrete. It's plastic.
So is he, bro.
On there, man. It's plastic.
So is he, bro. So is he. So is he. But yeah. With that, man, let me get some other calls in here, bro, before we close it out.
All right, man.
All right, peace to you.
All right.
All right.
That's peace, man. Lord have mercy. Woo! All right, Stormy.
All right.
See you later, bro.
Good call, brother. Good call. My man Copper Aborigines, boy, when he calls in, we always have a great discussion. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great stuff. Great stuff there. Great stuff. Anybody else want to call in, please do. We're going to, take maybe one or two more calls before the show ends. But it's been a wonderful day of call-ins here. And I see my man KQKC was out there. I didn't get a chance to say salute because the brother was engaging in this conversation. And then we also had my man Curtis Anderson, a.k.a. Kurt Sugar, out there as well. And a few others that have come into the chat. We had a couple of subscribers come in, which was great stuff, man. I appreciate that support. But, hey, when we get to talking about things on this channel, man, that's what happens. You bring out the truth about the sport of boxing. One thing you can't do is you cannot hide from the truth, man. So it's right there. Yep. Arthur Abraham. I couldn't think of his name while we were talking, but yeah, that's who the fighter was that Copper was trying to bring up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we got about 15 more minutes in the show. If you guys want to call in, please do so, man. Do so. This is what it's about. It's the call-in show. So, nobody wants to make that move. You guys afraid? What's going on, man? It says we got over 60-something people out there. You guys can call in. The number's right there on the screen. Show some love and support. Call in. Talk about what's on your mind. There we go. Okay, good afternoon. We got 206. Good afternoon. We got 206 in the building. 206. Who's calling and what's on your mind?
What's up, Stormy B? This is Big Dog Willie.
Hey, Big Dog Willie. What's happening with you, bro?
Nothing, man. This waking up, about to watch some of these games and get ready for work. But yeah, man, AJ, that was pathetic.
Well, depends on how you look at it.
I don't know what he was doing out there, but if you're I'm just saying he has no heart. You can't, he had to know he was down on rounds, and he's out. I mean, I'm just saying if it was anybody, I'm just what I'm going to say. He has to go for broke in the last couple of rounds, and just if he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. But you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not a champion doesn't do that. Sit back there and then still try to fight, going backwards and trying to. It just didn't look right. And after that fight, it just he's not a champion to me. I don't care if he does win his belt back. He's not a champion to me.
Well, he's not winning that belt back from the man he lost to last night. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There will have to be some hellified cheating and everything else, which is not out of the question, by the way, which is not out of the question. They could bring in some judges who have been paid off. We've seen it. We've seen it over and over. And they can fight at a neutral site or something where the referee gets involved and everything. You know, I point these things out even before the first fight. So it's like that could happen. And then what they would be doing is forcing their hand with the trilogy to extend the thing out beyond having to just go right in there with Wilder. You understand? So the powers that be, they are not above working something like this out to their advantages. Seriously. That's something to consider.
I don't understand.
Huh?
Yeah, I just don't understand. I just don't understand that. I mean, this man's got him by like 30 pounds. He's way bigger, and I know he was getting outboxed, but he could just bum rush him and just see what can happen. You know, jump on him, throw your heavy ass punches, throw an uppercut, get in there inside on him. But he refuses to do that. He's scared. He got scared after the first round. He was scared.
Well, big dog, this is the thing about that. Okay, in boxing, when you're fighting someone who's technically, excuse my slurring my words here. When you're boxing someone that's technically proficient, okay, you rush in there, you could rush into something and get your butt knocked out quick, fast, and in a hurry. These men are skilled at this level. I spoke about the man, Alexander Usyk's skill set before the fight. Okay, he's not a bum. He's not a walkover. He's not a pushover.
No.
I said in my pre-fight video breakdown and on my Friday night chop session, Alexander Usyk is possibly the best fighter AJ has ever fought. I said that.
No, by far.
I said
by
that.
Far. Not the
but
best.
See, no,
by
listen,
far.
hold on. But in order to accept that, stop thinking about what you think AJ should have done, could have done, would have done, and know that he's already been stopped by a guy that they cherry-picked because the Big Baby fight fell out with Big Baby popping dirty. So he's already been stopped by someone who isn't as good as the best guy he's ever going to face at this juncture. So the win is not an aberration.
No, I wasn't saying with an aberration. I'm just saying as a fighter, a man that
Who
fights.
have you
if you're
seen
getting
AJ go in there and go get him? Who?
That's exactly what I said. I said that. That's
So
what I
you
was trying.
expect him to
my
do it
point was
against
trying to
this
make.
most skilled fighter that he's ever been in there with?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're losing like the way he was losing, I'm just saying, if it was me and I would get my ass whooped and I had at least a weight side or something against him, I was gonna go for broke and just see what happens. I'm not gonna sit there and just allow him to get beat up like that. It just doesn't.
He was getting hit with shots cleanly, bro. He was getting hit, and he's kind of chinny. So it's like,
well, he is chinny.
He was getting hit clean. When he tried to go down to the body, he landed some good body shots. But also with landing the good body shots, he got hit with some good counter shots. Now the thing is, he don't know how to move his head, but he tried to even stay back out of range so that the shots wouldn't land as cleanly, and he was still getting touched up by Usyk, which is very interesting because if Usyk can hit him from mid-range as clean as he was, that means that Usyk knows how to judge and gauge distance even better than AJ. So AJ was having difficulty. He had difficulty when he first saw the man's movement. I saw the frustration in his face in the first round. He looked at him as if to say, damn, this is going to be hard. I know fighters' expressions. I've seen it. I've worked with guys. I know I can read their body language. I can read their face expressions. I've told people, if you don't realize this, you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. Mankind, the entire global populace, okay? People basically fall into 5 personality traits and characteristics. With thereafter, you could be a combination of one or more, okay? We are born with 5 fingers, 5 senses, 5 toes. Our Creator put that out there for a reason. I don't have the answer to that, but these are the auspices that we operate under. Why is boxing a sweet science? It's because of these things that I'm breaking down to you right now. You cannot be that which you are not. So when you understand these things and you build someone up, you're supposed to fortify them with what their strengths are and allow them the ability to protect what their weaknesses are so that they can be effective in what their endeavors are. But when you don't understand it to this point, if a guy is just a big, strong guy, he's 6'6", he's 250 pounds, that's imposing, yes. But then you got a story that's in the good book that talks about David and Goliath, huh? So that means you got to be more than 6'6" and 250 pounds.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I think we're talking about the same thing. What I'm trying to say is he doesn't have it. AJ never had it. He will never have it, and he won't ever develop it. He's just AJ. That's what AJ is known for. And I'm just saying, if he had a heart of a Holyfield or anybody like that, he would went down. He would went down in flames. But he would have done better than what he did if he had a heart like a Holyfield.
Oh, he still went down in flames.
Well, yeah. But it was pathetic, though. It was pathetic. That was.
Hey, listen, man. Didn't you hear me say earlier in the show that I said that there are some life's lessons for all of us? It's just that we all don't have to go through them. We're supposed to be able to learn from a distance sometimes. Sometimes you have to go through something, and people go through things and still don't learn nothing. Okay? That's why they got knots and cuts and scars on their head, because they ain't learned yet. But sometimes you can just learn from someone else's miscues and be like, okay, I know not to trample in that quicksand over there because you're going in. You understand? But there are some people that say, let me see how quicksand works. And they walk over in there and they're pulled in and they're screaming for help and everything, and they go down. Yeah. That's life, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's life.
Yeah,
and I know, but like you said, he was brought up and he never had he never was like you said, he never had that type of adversity. Not against Klitschko, nothing like that. Because he was just getting beat up.
Listen,
and it was
when Wilder lost his fight, bad. When Wilder lost his fight to Fury, he made changes right away. Impactful changes. Yeah. He recognized he's got shortcomings. He recognized I need something different. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. Especially if you intend to continue on, right? That's what's most important here. If you have the intent to progressively full steam ahead, sometimes you might have to add something in that'll help you along your path and your journey. You might have to add some things. You might have to subtract some things. It doesn't mean that you have to always subtract. Sometimes you just bring something in fresh and new, and a new idealist, a new approach or plan or whatever. But a person who thinks that they can remain solid just by what they're doing, but they've already had failure, huh?
Yeah.
Or they're not that good to begin with, and they think they are because everybody patting them on the back, putting them up, holding them up, everything like that. Johnny Nelson. Where the hell is Johnny Nelson, by the way? Anyway, I was asking that last night. Anyway, when you got people pumping you up like that, okay, and nobody's telling you the truth, man, you suck. Man, you need to work on this. Man, you need to get better. Huh? Everybody patting you on the back. Yeah, you're the man. You're the good. Go ahead. You can do it. But only you got to take the ass whooping. Huh? Not them. Huh?
Yeah, it's just a heart factor of me. I don't care how much more skilled the other guy is. It's just not having heart. And and you're the champion. And he quit.
Well, this is the thing,
but
bro.
just in a different way.
This is the thing. When men get in there, right? Because I ain't getting in there, okay? Getting punched upside the head for a living ain't for me, okay? I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
But when you get in there, you're displaying a certain amount of courage that is to be respected. Now, we all have shortcomings, okay? So therefore, it is your job to surround you with people who can help guide you in the best manner and help you progress, help you protect. If the heart isn't as stout as people externally think, then you get someone to help you protect that heart. Huh? You get them to help you be a
But how can you
person.
protect? I mean, heart comes. I think a lot of time heart in a sport like that, that's just something that's ingrained in you.
Listen,
and I
you
just
have to
don't
have
think-
heart to get in the ring, bro.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that
that's
you're
true,
going to
but
be
it
the
takes
most
it- but it takes
machismo
it-
guy out there. But if you worked on your skill set and develop yourself to a point that sometimes that doesn't even get tested because you're so damn good. Huh? That happens as well. You got people out there that will tell you now that are former fighters. They'll say, man, I was scared to death when I was in that ring. And then people will say, really? He was like, yeah, every fight, man, I threw up or whatever in the dressing room before the fight, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I was nervous. I had to go to the bathroom, whatever. And then you hear that
being
from a
scared
guy.
Different than
Hold on. You hear
being
that from
scared
a
different
guy,
from quitting,
and
though.
they say those things, and you be like, man, I never knew that about you because you never showed that. Are they supposed to? No. You ever heard of poker face? When you're playing cards, you're not supposed to show everybody what you're thinking, huh? While you're playing, you're supposed to protect that aspect of your game.
Stormy, it's different for being scared and quitting. And I don't care if he did last 12 rounds, he quit.
That's your opinion. He went
that is my
12 rounds.
opinion, but
Listen,
to me,
he went 12
to me,
rounds,
it looked
bro.
like-
He went 12 rounds. He did not quit inside of 12 having gone the distance. That's not quitting. If he did not compete to the level of what you think he should, maybe he just didn't have that. But that doesn't mean he quit.
Yeah,
Some people will stay in
see
there
it.
and hang in there and get their butts beat because they don't know what else to do. I've seen it. See, when you're looking at it, you're looking at it in a sense of criticizing AJ without understanding boxing. It's like we've seen guys quit. Really, literally. Mike Tyson has quit. Huh? Julio Cesar Chavez has quit. Huh? Some of the most strongest guys that you think have quit. But when you know these things, it's like, and people know I can be critical of Mike Tyson, right? But I don't seek to just strip him and tear him apart. Don't have to use him as the standard bearer. But AJ still went the distance. I talked about his response after the 12th round ended and he went back to his corner. If you saw how he fell apart, I saw that within the last minute or so of the fight. And that's why I said that if Usyk had pressed the issue, it would have been over because AJ would have went down to the canvas and laid there and allowed them to count him out fully. That's the condition that I saw him being in. But he displayed it in the corner after the fight. But the fight was over. So in his mind, that was a victory. He made it through the final bell. He might not ever want to get in there again after that.
Yeah.
But he made it through.
I don't know. I mean, I feel what you're saying, but I did never train boxers or anything like that. I've been watching it for a long time, but I grew up in, I never, like, if I'm looking at Javier Hearns, that's going out. That's going out on your shield. Ali, Frazier, all those.
Go out on this shield like that. It's not meant for.
Yeah, you're right.
What if,
you're right.
What if Mark Breland never threw that towel in the second fight? And then shortly after Deontay landed that left hook, which was his final punch, before before the towel was thrown in. What if Mark Breland hadn't thrown the towel in, Deontay lands that left hook, Fury takes that step back, and then Deontay is able to follow up with something. Now Fury is hurt and Fury is shook up. It's an amazing comeback by Wilder that we didn't get to see because let me finish that we didn't see because Breland made that choice that he made. Wilder did not submit. Okay, and how many times have we seen fighters come back? We saw Diego Corrales. Come back against Castillo in a fight where he was dropped multiple times, and he spit the mouthpiece out so he could buy himself a few more seconds of time. And when he gets the mouthpiece rinsed and put back in his mouth, his trainer says, "Hey, you got to get inside on his ass now." And he goes out there and he stops Castillo in one of the greatest fights in boxing history. You see? That's a guy being allowed that whatever's inside of him to come out. AJ making it through the 12th round, he did what he could do to survive to the 12th. That he did not quit. He did not pull a Billy Joe Saunders. He didn't do that. He didn't take a knee like Danny Dubois. He kept fighting. He couldn't win, but he kept fighting. Dude, that alone is enough. Yeah, you there? Oh, his call ended. Hey, man, that was not me. That was the system or something. I guess there was a glitch there, but that was not me cutting your call off. I just want you to know that, okay? Big Dog Willie, that was not me cutting you off. Something happened. There was a glitch. My call board is not even up now. Something happened. Yeah, the Wi-Fi and the internet be acting up sometimes. You guys hear it when my sound goes in and out. So salute to Big Dog Willie and your call, man. I appreciate that. And we're at the end of the show anyway. But I'm sorry about what happened there with that last call. So you made some good points, but I just wanted to counter with the fact that I would not call AJ a quitter out of the circumstances of which we found him in yesterday's fight. In his fight with Andy Ruiz Jr., the first fight, yes, I do feel he quit in that fight. But I don't think he quit against Alexander Usyk. I feel like he fought to the best of his ability in that fight. And that's all you can ask of a guy. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's what you ask of a guy. That's what he's able to present of himself. And that's all, you know, when it comes down to it. But, yeah, man, we're going to get ready to get on up out of here. It's been a tremendous day with tremendous calls. A lot of people in the chat. A lot of people hitting that thumbs up. I appreciate that, man. We're cooking here with the call-in show. A lot of positive things happening here. So I appreciate everybody in their support here. I want to just get through a couple of yeah, Big Dog, that was something, the internet, because I looked at the screen where your call was, it went blank. So I might have had something happening with my internet. Every once in a while, I could see my sound drop off, and it happened at that very moment. I heard you say hello, and then the call was ending. So I apologize for that. But I guess YouTube is ready for me to get on up out of here as well. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, great show, man. Great show with all of you guys helping to come out here and, you know, get Stormy going. You know, it's been a great, great show, man. Let's see here. Trying to change up a couple of things. Hey, boy. But we're going to get on up out of here, everybody. Let you guys get to your Saturday, man. I appreciate everybody that came out and support today. It's another great call-in show. We got, who's that? Strong Armstrong. Just subscribe. Appreciate your subscription, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. Man, what a show, man. 2 hours don't seem like enough, do it? This is something, man. We got a lot going on, but I look forward to you guys next week. We'll come back with another call-in show. Peace to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week coming up. This is Stormy B, man. I'm signing on off for now. Peace.